Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 159 of the Revive Yourself podcast. Here we go.
Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Have you got a health issue that just won't go away no matter what you try? Then welcome to the Revive Yourself podcast, where we reveal the secrets to long-lasting health by getting to the root cause of problems that no one else is talking about. So you can have more energy, clear skin, healthier hair, a leaner physique, more confidence, and most importantly, do the things you love and live the life you deserve. Here's your host, Ryan Martin.
So people, here we are today with episode 159. It's been a little bit of a break since the last one. I've got some really good episodes all lined up for you regarding what's going on with COVID, with 5G. Got some good, great one with Jonathan Fruin, got a great one with Jason Christoph coming, and today's one with another episode with Tom Barnett, which is going to be fabulous. And if you haven't, if you're not already following me on Facebook at Revive Yourself or just Ryan Martin, and the same on Instagram, it's Revive_yourself or Ryan_Martin_, then I suggest you do so because I'm posting lots of stuff around health and around what the truth about COVID-19, etc. And even just like today, I think it was yesterday, the CDC posted stats saying, 94% of the people, they've reduced the deaths of COVID from 153,000 down to 9,000. So 94% of people actually had comorbidities, which we knew. And even the stat of 9,000 is highly, I suspect, exaggerated. And this thing, they've even put a thing out today saying COVID, #COVID is over. I mean, COVID is over. It never really began. It was always a complete and utter psyop from the start. And if you've been listening to me, you probably know that. And it's the same with all these people, these companies. If people researched into them and the CDC and the government and these vaccine companies and what they're trying to do and the plan behind them, then it all becomes a little bit clearer, and all you've got to do is follow the money. Anyway, before we get into today's show with Tom Barnett, then I just want to talk about, as always, if you head over to www.reviveyourself.com and click on the shop, we've got all of our fantastic products there from the line of Evolution Organics, Ancient Purity, and Finchley Clinic. Got Living Fuel, which I always talk about being the best all-round product on the market, bar none. It's absolutely fantastic. 2 scoops of it is the equivalent of $260 worth of organic produce. So whenever people ask me what should I take, and I always say Living Fuel, Super Berry or Super Green with a probiotic, which you've got there from Dr. McCullough, and a liver cleanser to start with, either milk thistle or liver support from Nature's Answer. It's all there. Vitamin C is always great to have in the cupboard. You've got that underneath the Ancient Purity banner. Along with the Volvic minerals. If you're looking to have minerals that should be present in the soil, which because of farming standards today, even organic farming standards, they're not, then Volvic minerals is fantastic. Anything you pick up on our shop is going to be great for your health. The new naked biotics from Raw are fabulous as well. They can find them underneath the Ancient Purity banner. It's like a little probiotic shot. They're fabulous, and just going to be getting the biooptimizers stuff up soon. Also, Blue Blocks. If you head there, BLUBLOX.com, and you can find the best blue blocking glasses on the planet, bar none. And they also do light bulbs now, red and yellow light bulbs, so for the evening, which are fantastic. And if you're heading over to, if you put in the code REVIVE there, you'll get 10% off. And also, if you put in the code REVIVE on essentialoilwizardry.com, then you'll get 10% off of the best essential oils on the planet, bar none. And also Memon, guys and girls, I'm going to be putting the stuff up on the site tomorrow. And if you do want anything for your house, for your car, for yourself to mitigate any 5G, then just order that and we'll get that out to you ASAP. But that'll be on the site very, very soon, so don't worry about the 5G that's coming. We've got technology that can mitigate it, and that episode will be coming out very, very soon with Jonathan Fruin. So today's episode is back with Tom Barnett. I actually recorded this a few weeks ago with him. He's got us talking about a few stuff, but it's just about getting to the root of what's going on and getting to understand common law a bit more, and so you can take back your power and really get to the root of what's going on, who you are, and how you can stand strong in this turbulent time. So without further ado, here's Tom. Enjoy the episode, and I'll see you on the other side. Your interview, I think it was 3 of you the other day, and you looked like it looked like it was cold.
Yeah, it's winter.
Yeah, but you said it's still beach weather over there.
Yeah, it is. In the day, in the day, and when you're out in the sun, it's amazing. But once the sun drops, and once you're up in the hills a bit, that's a bit elevated up there. Yeah, it's kind of like rainforest area, so it gets a bit cool.
It's a bit colder in the evening. Yeah, I was just looking through. So you're in Brunswick, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm in. It's called Kurabel, the town.
Right.
Brunswick's Brunswick's where I hang out a fair bit. I just never changed my Facebook profile.
Oh, right.
It says I live in Brunswick.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. Oh man, so it's cool. We're getting into because we've been talking about a lot of interesting stuff, and I've seen a lot of the other interviews you've been doing with your mate from solutionsempowerment.com. Can't remember his name, but regarding like a lot of his journey into the sort of children trafficking sort of world, which is quite interesting. Yeah, Nick. Yeah, that was quite. I mean, I've known about it, but for a lot of people, it's a weird one, right? Because it depends on how deep down the rabbit hole you want to go with this sort of stuff. Because unfortunately, a lot of people only like to go so far. They don't like to touch on that because it's something that, as I think it was one of the YouTube might have said it in the interview, and I think it's very true. It's like when you're not evil, it's very hard to comprehend that amount of evil. And like what people were doing, especially Y4. And do you know who Michael Tazarian is?
I know the name. What does he do?
Yeah, he's like, he does alternative history, but real history really. And he talks about the satanic, all these things like the Knights of Malta and etc. And how deep this is. And he said the other day, like, all these people talking about the New World Order. He said, I don't know what people talking about the New World Order for. It's already here. They've done it. Like it's here. Like that's it. There's not much you can do except for we just got to do what we can do in terms of to try and mitigate what much we can. And he talks about that in terms of the evil. And he actually said like if someone from the I think it was 1800s or something, was walking down the street, the high street of most of the Oxford Street, for example, in London, they'd be shocked by the amount of satanic symbolism there was, which is like something. But it was quite an interesting conversation you two had regarding that because he had, did you say it was Nick, his name?
Yeah, Nick Patterson.
Yeah, he had quite a good, people that are out there, so don't go too much into it, but people out there that haven't listened to your interview with him, I definitely think they should definitely have a listen to it because he actually got quite involved with that himself, right, in terms of even flying over to America and trying to. So, I mean, you said it's quite prevalent in Australia as well. There was like certain areas. Was it Melbourne? Yeah. I think he said there was something going on. Yeah. And he I can't remember if he said he got to a certain level where he was actually flagged when he went to America. They actually flagged him up, him and his friend, because they knew what he was coming over for. I think would he get stopped at the airport? Was that correct? I'm trying to think. I listened to it quite a little while ago.
I can't remember if he got stopped at the airport, but one of the guys ended up getting murdered that was part of the crew because he was exposing too much. He exposed too much. It's what happens in that kind of world, you know. Yeah. They don't like people exposing their little games.
Well, it's interesting because Epstein's wife or partner has just been arrested, and that was there's a few interesting memes coming out, you know, saying like looking like sorry about the suicide that hasn't happened yet, you know. So it's a different road going down. But I just wanted to say, just check in with you in terms of like we spoke a little bit because a lot of people are actually part of a group on Facebook. I think tagged you in it. It's called Plan B Mastermind. People that are looking for different alternatives, places to maybe move to. Because I've been speaking to a lot of people that think that this lockdown, you know, second lockdown, even though all the stats are out there, this is not a virus to worry about at all now. I mean, currently that the mortality rate is at 0.00068%. It's absolute joke. And they're talking about, and who comes out and says it is asymptomatic people can't can't transfer it, and then scientists say, oh, we can't say that because that won't leave people in fear. So they've come out and said, oh, actually, maybe it can be spread by viral particles and all this nonsense. So I just wanted to see that, because in Australia at the moment, there's been a couple of lockdowns going on, right? Where people have actually been locked in their apartments, a little bit like the purge. Can you let us know a little bit what's going on over there then?
Yeah, that's all in one spot. That's all in Victoria, which is the southernmost state, except for Tasmania, but over the mainland. And so they've locked. I mean, I don't know much about it myself. I don't look at the media, but it's some of the housing commission developments. So you're talking about the lowest socioeconomic groups that live in large high-rise complexes. They've shut those down and shut people in there. And so Thanos Panayides, who's the guy that was on our live yesterday with Neil, he's from Melbourne, and he's gone down and checked it all out and been there and seen the police presence around there and everything. And he's saying it's crazy because they're getting less time in the sun than people who've murdered, a bunch of people that are in prison. They're treated worse, when they're not able to get, they're not bringing them proper food and all that sort of stuff. So it's just a stunt, you'd know that it's just a stunt to try to, make some kind of display about what they can do and what they want to do with other places. But the thing is Victoria at the moment has a lot of political corruption that is being exposed as well. And I think what's happening is this is another one of those big distractions. They shut the state down, and they're doing these things to try to create like a sideshow, a sleight of hand, while all the there's a bunch of stuff going on with political corruption. So I don't know exactly what, but that's what I've heard is the main cause of, because why only one state? It's like people keep saying how selective this so-called coronavirus is. It only affects the poor, or only people who go to these rallies but not those rallies, and only people that it's just crazy. They can't make up their minds about who it's supposed to affect and who it's not. So it's hopefully more and more people seem to be seeing that it's such a poorly executed scam. It's just it has so many holes in it. It's ridiculous. And what's funny is how many people online seem to be, oh, everyone's dying and everyone's this and that and everyone should wear masks. But you go out in the street, and maybe it's different where you are, but people have been saying, they're going, hey, what's it like here? What's it like, where you are? How are you coping? And I'm just going, coping with what? There's no one. We do whatever we want. It's literally no different right now out in the streets than it was before this whole pandemic all came about. Everyone's at the beach. Everyone's hanging out. Everyone's doing whatever. We're back doing jiu-jitsu now at the gym. It's like everything's normal. So I don't think it's like that everywhere.
Yeah,
so people are really surprised.
Yeah, no, it's like where I'm in London at the moment. It's all good. I mean, take London, just outside London, but there are certain cities that have locked down again. Leicester, as you said before, it's just a complete and utter nonsense. As we said before, real pandemics don't need fake stats, fabricated deaths, fabricated like you said, death rates are going right down, even though infection rates are rising. The reason infection rates are rising because they've started testing people with a test that doesn't even test for the coronavirus. And even when you put that up, actually, it's funny because I put it up on Instagram and it said, "Oh, this is fake news." I was like, "It's come from the WHO." It's hilarious, and so they even have fake news in the WHO now, just to try and stop getting the truth out. Which is, and so before I'm just asking people what it's like there, because I'm just trying to preempt just in case they do go full on tyrannical government and lock things down. I'd rather be somewhere with a beach and the sun, and able to grow my own food and maybe even catch my own fish, for example. So as I was speaking to you, because you might have a visitor sooner rather than later, or somewhere around here, just because I just can't be dealing with, especially if it gets to winter time, they start locking things down around here. It won't be fun. So it's just looking out for those things. But yeah, absolutely none of it makes sense. And obviously we talked about viruses. I put up an article the other day talking about Koch's, but I think you actually got asked about this before on another interview about Koch's postulates and about Andrew Kaufman. We talked about that and how none of those have actually been none of those four variables that have to be have to all test positive. None of them have actually tested positive for this viral transfer. I mean, it's a complete and utter shambles. The whole thing is a complete and utter shambles. But unfortunately, a lot of the world is still asleep, and they're walking around with masks on. I said today, I put a tweet out saying, like, you're more likely to drown than you are of getting coronavirus. So if you're wearing a mask, I hope you've got your armbands on as well. And children are more likely to get struck by lightning. And so I hope you've got your rubber-soled shoes on. So it's just a complete and utter load of nonsense. But it's good to hear that you're up and running when it comes to jiu-jitsu, because the gyms over here like that are still. I mean, you can go and have a pint with hundreds of people, but you can't go in the gym and you can't work out. But is your one open all around, or is that just because your guy doesn't care about? I mean, he operates under common law, or is it all the gyms open?
No, I think all, as far as I'm aware, it's but how funny is that they like, you can go and do unhealthy stuff, but you can't go to a gym and do healthy stuff. You can go and drink as many beers as you want, but you can't go and lift weights or go do some martial arts or whatever. That's crazy.
There was actually a thing the other day I saw it was a really good little picture. It was like social distancing, and it had like one drink, social distancing, 2 drinks, maybe social distancing, 3 drinks. I mean, social distancing, and it's 4 drinks. I mean, there is no social distancing, you know what I mean? It's just like, the more drinks people have, the less they're coming out. Oh my God, these scenes now, people. It's like, what people do exactly what they were doing in the protests, but because it's in the pub, and it's just the media, and I'm just going to keep putting out there. That's pro tip: turn off the TV, stop listening to TV, and there is no virus. It's just interesting, and so just because you've been doing a lot of talk, because I wanted to to have a chat as well, because I know you're writing your second book, which we'll talk about. Obviously, your first book here, if you haven't got it, go to globalbiodynamics.com, correct? Is that where it is, Tom?
Well, because I got targeted by PayPal on that, who I'm suing, by the way. I've got it. Hey?
You did what? Go on, you can't just say that. You got to tell me what happened there.
Oh, well, they shut my account down, and then they actually also stopped people being able to purchase the book through the site. And so I got a new site. It's called barnettbooks.shop. I'll send you the link if you want, but it's just barnettbooks.shop. That's the name of the site. And then it's on there. So, and my videos are on there too. We hosted the first 2 videos that got taken off YouTube, and everything there on there. So
they shut your PayPal link down for your book.
Yeah, they froze my account. Yeah, they froze the account, and they asked for more ID and things like that, which had happened to a few people. Once it went over 1,000 Australian dollars, they locked the account. And because I'd sold a few things and then sold a few books that had gone over 1,000, so they shut the account and say you have to provide all these extra ID, which I did, and they weren't unlocking it. And then, I've sent off notices, and I've sent in. I've got to send in my final notice tomorrow, and then which they won't reply to. But so far, they're up to $87,000 in costs, and then I'm going to put a creditor's statutory demand and a commercial lien on them, which means that they can't borrow money, they can't sell assets, and it's very difficult for them to trade, and they don't like that. Companies don't like it when you put commercial liens on them. So I'm going to do that, and then they'll probably want to take it to court, and with a private settlement, like my private process is I already automatically win. So they'll probably want to settle out of court, and so I'll get bunch of money out of PayPal, which is good because they're assholes and I hate
them. Mate, every time I talk, mate, I just need to listen. I need to listen to more of this stuff. Like, this is incredible. I can't believe they can even put. What was their so their reason was because they just wanted to make sure you are who you were. That was the main reason.
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing, because I've had the account for 5 or 6 years. I'm obviously the guy who has the account. Like, how or why would you be trading out of an account for 5 years or whatever, and you're somehow not the guy who owns the bank account as well? It started fairly recently because I'd heard from somebody else whose wife got locked out of hers, and there was a lot of back and forth trying to get it back open, which they did. But, you can't call anyone. It's the worst system. They send these emails you can't reply to, and then you've got to go onto the site and you've got to go through these settings and then do the things they ask, and it doesn't even allow you to do the things they ask, and then you put in as many things as you can. They send an email back saying that's not good. And it's like, well, it drove me nuts. And then I just thought, you know what, screw this. And you can't find anything, right? So what I did is I went on to ASIC, which is the Australian Securities Exchange, ASIC, whatever it is, Australian Securities and Investment Commission. That's it. So what that is, it's the overseeing body that regulates corporations. So I went on there and did an ASIC search on PayPal Australia, and it took me a while to find it. And then you got to pay them for an extract. But when you get the extract, you get their address, their company number, and who are the top people who technically own it, who are the board of directors. So I got the top guy, I got their address, and I've been sending him notices, which they haven't replied to, as well as invoices. So what I did is I said that the first notice said, you need to release back to me my property, because they own the account. It's like a government owns your driver's license or your license plates. They can take them away anytime they like. That is theirs. But your car is your private property. And when you have money is the productivity of your labor. That's your property. So the account belongs to them, but the property within it belongs to me. So they can keep my account, but they have to give me my money. That's the law. So I sent them, if you don't release to me within 72 hours my personal property, or provide me with evidence that you have the authority to withhold from me my personal property, then you'll be liable for $1,000 per day that you keep my account locked. And it was locked from the 7th of April till now. So they're currently up to 90 something days. So it's I think I'm up to $93,000. $93,000 that I'm suing them for, which covers the time that I stipulated, which they did not rebut, therefore it stands as truth, and also because that covers loss of livelihood, loss of income for me, because they've stopped me getting an income, but people can't buy the books. I mean, they can because I opened a new site, but there was still a lot of people trying to buy books that couldn't and didn't have any way of people wanting to donate. A lot of people actually were emailing saying, hey, look, I've wanted to send you a donation, but your PayPal, it says I can't send money to your PayPal. So, you can't do that. You can't block somebody from receiving donations. So they're in a pickle.
Yeah, okay. So if they've not replied, how the hell would you get them to call?
So what'll happen is that I'm sending off the third invoice tomorrow. You have to send 3 reminder invoices to give them a chance to pay. They won't, because they haven't responded to anything so far. But they've all been received, because when you get your registered mail slip, you can look up who got it and when. So they've received it, and it doesn't matter who picks it up, that's received. So what happens now is that I send in the final one, which they won't respond to. Then what I send is what's called, in Australia, it's a Corporations Act 2001. It's a creditor's statutory demand. And a creditor is the one who is a debtor. Like, if you owe me money, you're the debtor and I'm the creditor. If it's the other way around, I owe you money, you're the creditor and I'm the debtor. So a creditor's statutory demand is stating that there is a debt owed, what the debt is for and how much the debt is. And then you accompany that with an affidavit saying that this is what it's for. And just that it's truth, that there is a debt, the debt is this much and this is what it's for. So then remember, an unrebutted affidavit stands as the truth in court. That's a maxim of law. So then what happens is they have 21 days to respond to a creditor's statutory demand. Normally they're going to call you, or they're going to send you notices saying, well, we're going to take it to court, and that's totally fine. So what you've got the option of doing then is going to court, or you offer to settle in a mediation meeting. So if you offer a mediation meeting and they refuse, which the first few times they'll probably go, no, we're not doing that. And then you say, well, it's going to look really interesting when I tell the magistrate that I offered a mediation meeting so that we could settle this and not have to take it to court. They don't like it when you bring things to court that could have been, they like you to exhaust all avenues of settling privately before you bring anything into a courtroom, when it's civil, not criminal. They love criminal because they get more money and everything. So a civil matter, they don't care who wins, whatever. It's just, as long as they get money. So that means that if they lose, they're up for court costs. Like, whoever loses is up for court costs, essentially. So because they don't respond to affidavits, an unrebutted affidavit, as I said, stands as the truth in court. So you're already going to win. But what you'll do is you'll go into a mediation meeting and set them up, which is what Mark teaches you to do. And you just get them to admit that they have no standing and that they're going to lose. And then you essentially come to they'll offer you something. So I won a case just this week, a week or two ago. Didn't go to court. This was through a tribunal.
Against
Can't
the
name
police.
who. No, the police is coming up. So this was with a government department, and I got a cash settlement off them because they didn't want it to go to a tribunal. They got their Crown lawyer involved trying to get me to, like take names off and this and that. And I'm going, who do you think you're talking to? Like, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to, I'll tell you off air. I just can't name him because I just signed a confidentiality agreement, which technically, as long as I can tell it to people who are in my presence, but just not over broadcast, because in the contract that I signed, it says you won't tell any other person that blah, blah, blah. So if I'm in front of a crowd of people and I just say, is anybody in here not a man or a woman? Because remember, a person is not a man or a woman. I can tell men and I can tell women. I just can't tell persons. So, but it's just because this is a digital thing, But anyway, I'll tell you who it is later. And so it's just a precedent then that that private administration process works, because what's happening is you're taking all of your commerce into the private realm. And when you're in that private jurisdiction, that there's no law, no judge, no anything in the land that can get between, that stands above an agreement between two people. So I have an agreement, a binding agreement with PayPal, because they're not responding to anything. Mm-hmm. And that everything I've said in the notices and the affidavit stands as truth because they never rebutted it. So when I go to court, I have a private agreement with them, and the court can only rule in my favor. So instead of there being a case or a matter and they're a judge, they just become an administrator, because there's affidavits, there's the paperwork, and now they just administrate the decision. So who's got the paperwork? This guy's got all his paperwork. Those guys didn't put anything in. This guy wins. It's automatic. So they'll try to refute the amount. So for example, with this government body that I won against, I settled for less than what I invoiced for, but that's because I offered to settle for less, and also it was going to stop me having to go to an hour's drive away to go to a tribunal hearing and all that sort of stuff. And so it just saves me time having to do that. So I was happy with what I got. So PayPal's going to be up for around $100,000 US. They'll probably, I don't know what they'll offer, but they won't offer $100,000 US. They'll offer to settle it. So they're going to try to get away with offering you like 10,000 or something like that, something to like keep you from taking it to court. They'll weigh up their court costs. If it's going to cost them more than 10 grand to go to court, they'll offer you 8 grand or something, because that's a lesser, do you know what I mean? That's kind of how things work. It's like when you go in to put an offer on a house, like in an auction, you don't go in with your highest bid, and you've got an idea of, you know what I mean? It's like you kind of put in a figure knowing that you probably won't get that and you're going to get this, but you don't put in that figure, because if you put that in, you get down here somewhere. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's kind of like playing a bit of a business game, but at the same time, I'm pretty tempted, because I hate them so much. I'm tempted just to go the whole hog and do as many things as I can to get the 100 grand. 100 US, that's like 150, 160,000 Australian. So that's pretty good.
It is. It's that would be nice. I've got a PayPal account actually. I don't use it as much. Well, my book's linked to it as well, but it's interesting because I actually wanted to talk about your book. But this stuff is so interesting because it's like keep on dipping in and out of it, and I feel like I need two of me, Tom, to try and do all this at the moment. Like learn about everything else that's going on at the moment, in terms of setting up financial stuff in case the US dollar goes to nothing, which I'm pretty sure it will in the next few years. So it's like getting into crypto and heavy metals and gold, and then learning this stuff. And this stuff's out. I'm told I need some. Going to be talking to Mark, setting up, I said before, trust foundations and looking into that, which is really important, I think. But it's like also knowing how to change everything that you've set up already, how you then move it to to this, it's in the public, moving it into the private, and then doing it because you don't want to be caught in between two worlds, which is quite important as well. But yeah, no, and something you've also mentioned before in terms of like paying certain debts off with other things, which is really like, yeah, it's just like a different world. You're literally looking into it, and it's just like trying to learn too many things at once sometimes. It's why I said the other day, it's almost nice when we build these communities up where you can be like, right, Tom's doing the law, and Ryan's doing the health stuff, and whatever, someone else is doing whatever. It'd be nice because sometimes you try and split yourself in between too many things, and it's like there's only so much of you. But listening to you talk about this, it's just like it's great because it gives people listening power to be like, because automatically people start sending you messages or start sending you emails or letters, and they've got these fancy letters behind the name, or it comes from like the Crown or whatever, and people shit their pants, Whereas like when you actually know, one of the things you said, when you actually know, like there's no, I think it was the two people you said, or I think it might have been James before, or was it Mark? I can't remember his name, but he said there are two laws really. One's like do no harm to anyone else, and the other's like live under the rules of God. I think that something along those lines.
It's just love thy neighbor and love thy creator.
That's it.
If you do those two things, it covers everything. Like, don't be an asshole, don't steal people's stuff, don't kill them. That's pretty much it.
But that's it, right? That's why talking about when Jeff Berwick talks about anarchy, like people think anarchy means no rules. It doesn't. It means no rulers, and it's like everyone living together. And so knowing that's brilliant. I mean, you can do that and understand that. It's just getting, you said they hide so many of their addresses. Some of these companies, you can't even speak to them. It's a nightmare. So like getting in and knowing where to look. And it's like with a non-consent form, which you're talking about, like, so I'm just about to send off my second non-consent form, and then I'll be sending off my third. But once I've sent off my third, I then have to go and down to the office and show them that I've sent these three things to get a letter saying that I'm exempt from vaccination. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, you should be able to go to any courtroom and get a registrar to sign off on something that you will probably have to draft up. It's like, Ryan Martin, believe that there is no evidence that I'm a man, that I'm living, that I'm this, that, and that I'm not under the rule of any government, corporation, whatever, and that I have the right to, I believe that there's no evidence that I have the right to choose what goes into my body, or that I can be barred from public transport or welfare or whatever the case may be that people need to use that's in the public realm. And that's it. With an unrebutted affidavit, you win. So they'll sign off on that.
So then if you're going on, like, for example, travel, if you have that on you, you could go to the airport and that'd be on you. Then they'd be like, "Why aren't you vaccinated?" No, and I'll just present that, and that'd be that.
Well, in theory, I just don't know anybody that's gone through the whole thing and tried to, because here that it's not compulsory for any of that. We just think that that's coming, But at the same time, I just wonder how much.
It's not compulsory here either yet, but once again, it's we're like we're preempting the strike rather than being reactive.
I think that there's too many people at the moment who are just saying, no, that's not going to happen. I think there's too many people that are giving a lot of unrest about, especially that particular thing, because, you're like Amy, who we're going to do a three-way chat with from Canada. Like, we've been getting along great, and we want to see each other in person. We want to do some coaching together, do a retreat, that kind of thing. And, there's that whole thing of, what if we can't, because neither of us would take a vaccine to fly to the other country. And it could mean, so people are kind of, but I don't really think that it's going to get to that stage, but I'm also confident in my ability personally to, with my paperwork, to get what I need, to reserve my rights, to, and then what most people don't want to do is be sued. So as soon as you start threatening people with legal action, that's when they back off a bit. And remember as well, at this stage, we're not dealing with AI robots who won't take no for an answer. We're dealing with human beings. So I'm always confident in what I can do, but that's just, we're all different. Some people, I guess, don't have the confidence to stamp their authority over somebody else, or like in mixed martial arts, there's a term that's whoever can impose their will on the other will win the bout. So if somebody's a wrestler, if they can impose their will on their opponent, it means that they dictate where the fight goes. They dictate, the pace. They dictate everything. They impose their will on the other, so that the other guy or girl's will is broken. Then they'll win the bout. And it's the same as when you're dealing with somebody in the public. It's the same with sales. It's either you sell them or they sell you. It's the same kind of principle. So the first thing is not taking no for an answer. You go in with your form. It's like, you've just got to be somebody that is important. Like, there's people that walk through airports all the time without getting the same checks that we do. It's because they're deemed important. They have a certain card they flash. They're wealthy. They're whatever. They're like the movie stars don't do what we do. They go through other gates, or they, it's a different ball game. So if you just present to somebody who is a creditor and who knows their rights and who knows who they are, that you don't have to be impolite to people. You just have to know who you are, and people can sense that. So they generally, this is all theory at this stage, because, like I say, nobody's had to go through. There hasn't been compulsory vaccinations yet. Nobody's tested this. But at the same time, based on the successes that myself and other people have had with other forms of reserving your rights, then I can see that it's going to work in our favor. And I think there's too many people that will just completely revolt against having to be vaccinated to fly. I just think it's a smokescreen. I think it's still, if I thought it was 100% a smokescreen, I wouldn't be doing my notices, but I'm not 100% sure it's a smokescreen, So I'm still covering my bases, but at the same time, I think like this whole thing is to cover up other inner workings that's going on in the world. Like, the royal family has seemed to just disperse. Trump seems to be doing some things that we don't really know about. There's things going on. And I just think the coronavirus thing was this thing that's kind of like set up to keep everybody not looking at what's really happening. So I think there's a power shift going on. I think it's not all bad. I think that there could be a lot of good that comes from it. Doesn't mean that they won't offer mandatory vaccines still, but at the same time, I just have this feeling that it's going to work out for the better. But it means that we have to stand up still. It's not like, they'll figure it all out and they'll make it okay. That's not going to happen. We still have to be the ones that say, no, this is how it's going to be. And then with a new structure that could be coming in, then they act on that will. But if we just sit back and, oh no, I don't want to have this stuff, and they just whinge about it on Facebook and whatever, that doesn't affect change. So yeah, that's what I got to say, I guess.
No, 100%. No, that's why I'm doing it as well, because I feel the same thing. And I even think, like, even in the interim, like, even if good comes of it, there'll be a period where they may just go in really hard. And so if you get, like, I'm going to get the all rights reserved passport, etc., and get myself up to that knowledge base where I feel like I can we can travel at the moment. We've still got in the EU until December. We can move around, and we can. People have been able to fly this whole time. They just have been scared to because of quarantine and stuff like that. But this is the other thing. It's like maybe even ask Mark when I get him on the call. Is like to maybe doing non-consent regarding masks and a non-consent. Non-consent regarding masks. There's one more. Just because I'm like, if they try and make you wear masks everywhere, it's just like I've got absolutely no fucking interest in wearing a mask ever, and if I had to fucking wear one to get on a plane, just because I can't bother to have the row at the moment, I might do it for a couple of hours, but it's not something I'm ever going to be doing. So I was wondering whether to put non-consent forms in for that as well, because I mean, evidence has shown they're absolutely fucking useless. It's completely pointless anyway, because you can't catch the thing anyway. But it's just like, it's all about and so that's another thing. You see people walking around with masks on, and the vaccines. I mean, as you mentioned about the royal family, it's interesting. There was also that Deagle, I don't know if you've seen it, Deagle.com, talking about the populations, how they wanted to reduce the population, what I said before.
Yeah.
That's by a lot as well. 66 million down to 15 million by 2025 in the UK. That's a hell of a lot, right?
Yeah.
And some of the information coming out about the royal family. Have you heard about this?
Yeah. I posted a video today that was I think it was done a few weeks ago. Some guy, don't know who it was. It's pretty well put together. Whoever filmed it was good. But he interviewed the Joseph Gregory, who's the supposed new going to take the throne, who's the New Zealand guy, and they did an interview / mini documentary on him, and he's saying about how, they've all dispersed. And you told me a while back, you sent me that thing where you go, hey, look, they've taken the coat of arms or whatever it is that's on the gates of Buckingham Palace. They've taken that off. Like that, you don't just take stuff off for no reason. It's a signal. It's signaling something. So there is stuff going on. They've been illegitimate. Everybody, well, not everybody knows, but everybody in the law circles knows that that's been an illegitimate love child body of inbred family for a long time. And that London Square Mile is owned by not the Queen in that. It's owned by the Vatican, and there's it's a whole bunch of stuff going on with that.
I know you said it's almost like I said to people the other day. It's like you don't want to. So you want to talk about certain things, and other things if you think, oh, okay, if I go fully in here, people are going to think I'm a nutcase. But there's lots of stuff talking about, like, in terms of the new King of England and the Queen's abdicated the throne, and there's lots of stuff going on that people haven't heard about, and then it's just like interesting. I mean, you look deep into it. This has been coming a while, so there is a lot of sort of interesting stuff coming out, and they're trying to push stuff, and it's just complete nonsense. But when it comes to knowing your rights and getting this stuff done, I mentioned to you before, have you got your passport done yet? Because I'm going to get mine done, I think, next week, in terms of all rights reserved.
No, I still haven't got around to wanting to fork out $300 for a new passport, because I only bought one a few years ago. It's like $250 or something. It's like, I just got that thing. I was like, I was going to wait until I get off, because I'm not flying anywhere anytime soon. So
yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, that's the one with mine. Actually, I'm going to be trying to have a little look around and see what's going on. And I completely understand. It's one of those things. I mean, I was speaking to you about it before, just like creating a community of people living together, and anything happen. Like, I think that would be the best thing. We've got people that want to do that, and then you can grow your own food. If anything happens, you're living in a nice area. If everyone's interested in helping, if you're all working online as well, then you can put your stuff out to many people as possible. And that's one of the things I want to talk about today as well, because I know, like, beforehand you're a little bit like, well, I don't really want to be on the internet and stuff, which I get, but you have got a lot of skill in this area, and people a lot of knowledge that we're getting out to people. So I know you sort of decided to start working more like in that health region, or right in the health game, so helping people out. And obviously, so you got your first book, which has got some great stuff in it. If you haven't bought that, people, I definitely suggest you do. I was having a couple of good recipes actually on the smoothies, etc., which were really nice, going through them the other day. You've got some really good information as well, just about talking about research, and about how, I mean, that's some things we talk about all the time, about how the research is done, and even the teaching system, etc., which is great, about how people get taught what to learn and not how to learn, or what to think and not how to think, which is great. So that's at barnettbooks.com. But you've got your new book coming out as well, Tom. What's that going to be about?
Yeah, so it's barnettbooks.shop. We got a .shop rather than .com. Yeah. But the new one's more about how to specifically, because that one's called The Common Sense Guide to Food. So I didn't go into anything too specific, because if I was going to prescribe a diet for somebody that's just a general guy or girl, it wouldn't be it's like not a full detox diet, because they don't need it. So this one is about how to remove the deep-seated toxicity within the body. So that's from lifestyle factors, environmental poisons, toxicity from vaccines, which lodge and stay in the body with the heavy metals, and the other adjuvants. They stay in there for a long time until you get them out, specifically with diet and various protocols. So that's what the book is on primarily. The first half. The second half is protecting yourself in a legal way from future exposure. So how to handle things like the offer of mandatory vaccines, and it is only an offer. So how to do private administration processes, how to write your own notices. And so the reason I did the video with Mark, and that I sent people to Mark's site, is that I didn't want people just asking me. If I put a video out on the notices, I would have just got way too many emails and messages saying, well, how do I do this and why do I do that? And it'd be a full-time job just taking the messages, and I can't do that. So that's why I sent everyone to Mark. But in the book, I'll actually show what a notice is, why you put your name up here, why their name goes there, why you write notice, where you write notice, what you write in it, what you write in how you structure it, where you sign it and why you sign it that way, and everything. So that way, once you've got that, you can write your own notices for anything. So when you were asking about masks, that you can take what I put in that book and just write your notice to whoever it has to go to, and it's about masks, and then about whatever else you want. So once you know how to write a notice, then you can send them off anywhere. And I do that. I'm sending them up. I've got notices going off left, right, and center to people that I'm suing. So it's might end up with I'll shout the beach house after all these people. I'll just buy it.
Well, mate, I was thinking about it as well.
With masks, I was going to say, so I don't know what it's like in other parts of the world, but they started saying for airline travel here that you're meant to wear a mask. And so I think I shared it to Facebook, actually. I'll go through and send you the post, but it was a lady from Victoria, I think. She was just like, no, I'm not doing this. So she goes into she goes to get on her flight, and the people who are in the airport, they're going, oh, where's your mask? You're supposed to wear a mask. And she's just like, no, thank you. That's all she said. No, thank you. Because it's only an offer and you don't have to comply. If you look closely at all of these things, even the taxation charter, like income tax in Australia is a voluntary compliance system. Just everyone thinks you go to jail if you don't pay tax, but that's not true. It's voluntary. So with the masks, all you have to say at this stage in our country is just no, thank you. And they go, oh, okay. And that's it. They let them go on the plane. They can't kick them off the plane. They can't not let them on the plane. It's not a term and condition you sign on for. There's no signature. There's no contract. There's no agreement. So
I'm not sure what that's like in our country. I'm not sure if that's what we've got at the moment. Actually, I'll be interested to look into that. Actually, just in terms of what they're saying about it, because all the airlines are saying you have to wear one to travel. But I don't know if it's an offer or if that's them saying, if the airlines say you have to wear one to get on our plane, they're private companies, so they make the rules, right?
Yeah, that is true. Same with a shop. If someone's got a shop and they say you're not coming in without a mask, technically they can say you can't come in. So, but what you can do if you want to stand your ground is you can go, well, really, okay, so you're telling me that I can't access, like if you're just going in to buy like some useless thing, it doesn't matter. But if it's food, let's say it's an organic food store, and they say, or it's it's a grocery store. So then you say, well, this is an essential service, isn't it? Like, are you telling me that I can't access an essential service? You start asking questions. You say you assume the creditor's role, and then you say, look, just with respect, I don't want to be difficult. This is your store and everything, but do you actually have the authority to tell me that I can't come in here without a mask? Is that what you're saying? And if they can't come, because you're saying if you are saying that, you're going to have to provide me with some evidence, because otherwise, look, I'm not only protecting my own self, I have to eat. Look, I'm going to have to sue you. I will pursue legal action against you if you can't provide the evidence that you have the authority to stop me coming into the store. I mean, yeah, people have done that. People have gone in, they've caused a fuss, gone in and got their stuff and left. The shop people haven't liked it, but that's their problem, I can understand from their point of view, they're worried, oh shit, I don't want to do anything wrong and lose my shop and all that. So I get it from their perspective, but at the same time, this isn't a time where we can all just go, oh, let's just let everything go and don't worry about it, don't rock the boat, just let it all happen and we'll all just keep our own little. It's not going to happen. We've got to stand up at this stage. It's like beyond this thing that's going on is beyond that. We can't just, and that's why not every policeman is bad and not every government official is bad, but at the same time, they're all lining their own pockets to protect an evil enterprise and stopping good people from doing good things. So as far as I'm concerned, they're all working against us. I don't care if they are like the good ones. This is not a time where we can have this.
That's like the Matrix thing, right? Where it's like where the agent can come into any. It's like they're actually against us just because they're thinking like them. They may not necessarily want to be like that. They just are, because they're like they can anytime Agent Smith can come in and take over their. But it's interesting, man. I was thinking this as I said to you offline, like 100%, and I'd be interested to to get a community of people. This is why it's like power and strength in numbers as well. This is why I said the other day, it's like, has anyone told the Amish what's going on? Or like, that the Amish don't get vaccinations, and what they're all dead, are they, from this deadly virus? It's like, what? Yeah. It's just complete. So if we've got a community of people like that all together, it's a very powerful thing to have, and especially when everyone's all clued up and knows what they're doing, and get down the line, say you had children and stuff, you teach your children this stuff, you don't teach them the nonsense you learn in school, and all of a sudden they're very, very powerful human beings, that know what's going on. And so, mate, I completely agree. This is my thing, so I want to learn a bit more about it, just because I want to be the one to stand the ground and be like, okay, and to know inside out, because I need to look at that in terms of the plane, because so sometimes anything is better to have an easier, not get stressed, and anything a bit of an easier life, because there's enough going on that we're doing this for. But it's like the travel thing. Like if I was to fly over to you on like a 24-hour flight, whatever, wearing a mask, it'd be a nightmare, right?
Stick some undies over your face, because they don't actually, no one tests the masks. They don't make sure you're wearing a particulate mask, and no one does. Everyone, even on the people are posting photos about on the inserts of the masks, and it says this mask does not protect against any kind of pathogen, whatever. And even specifically coronavirus, because it's like this mask does not protect against coronavirus. It says it on the inside of the thing, and so you can't. This is why it's so ridiculous, as you already know. But there's nothing to stop you putting some underpants over your face and just to take the piss and have a bit of fun with it. Like, here's my mask. or write like you're a cunt across the front of it. They're like, you can't get on with that. Well, do you want me to wear a mask or don't? Yeah, but it says that. Well, you haven't stipulated that there can't be writing on it. You just said wear a mask. I'm wearing a mask. You can take it to that degree where you kind of like
this mask doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah. You're an idiot. That kind of thing. You can put that on there. It's that there's you can kind of maintain power while you could go along with that go along with the whole sheeple thing, but make a bigger point with wearing a mask that says something as opposed to not wearing a mask at all. And once you're on the plane at 30,000 feet, just take the thing off. What are they going to do, land the plane?
Yes.
Or we're going to make an unscheduled stopover in Abu Dhabi because this guy's not wearing a mask. It's like, they're not going to do that.
Well, they might try and arrest you when you get to the ground, right? But the thing is with that, it's like you're on a plane with recycled air and you think wearing a mask is going to stop.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, you also say, so what? Oh, sorry, yeah. Now I remember the actual full story in Australia. So you say, no, thank you. And then they say, do you have a medical condition? And you say, yes, I have a medical condition. I cannot wear a mask on my face continuously. It'll exacerbate my medical condition. What's your medical condition? Well, that's private information. That's confidential. You can't know what my medical condition is. Then you walk onto the plane. So if, they're not going to arrest you because you just say, what, are you trying to say that you want me to be asphyxiated on this plane? Would you like to land this plane because I'm going into cardiac arrest? Is that what you're saying? That's what's going to happen if I wear a mask. Where's your doctor's certificate? Well, do you have some written evidence that I need a doctor's certificate? If, it's like I have the right to make sure that I don't die. I'm not wearing a mask. So, you can do that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's so many options. There's not like this is the right way, that's the wrong way. The right way is just understanding you standing your ground, and then you make it up. Your story would be different to mine. Like I can't remember if I told you in the one of our first interviews about Autism Boy. It's one of my characters. So when I'm on a push bike, for example, and the police come and they want to fine you for not wearing a helmet, I just go into Autism Boy, which is a guy that just has all these wonderful stories and he's a bit slow and he's a bit everything. I just go into that character and then I just leave you alone because like, oh, fuck this guy.
Well, it's too hard. Give me an example.
Oh, so for example,
that's classic. You haven't mentioned this to me at all.
Okay, so the best one was the best one was when I was coming off of a bus and I used to leave my bike near the bus stop so I could ride it home from the bus stop. It's like 9:00 at night. I'd come back from somewhere, I can't remember. And the bike that I was riding was a girl's beach cruiser. It was like bright blue with pink wheels and stuff, like real girly bike. So I get on the bike, put my hood on because it was a cool night. and I could see this cop car. They were just lurking. You can just feel it when they're up to no good. I'm like, I bet you they're going to try to come after me. So I turn down the street that's kind of dark, and then sure enough, the lights come and they pull over to the wrong side of the road and pull up next to me, and they're like, oh, where's your helmet, mate? And I'm like, oh, hi, guys. And they're going, mate, where's your helmet? You got to wear a helmet, and blah, 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 whatever. And I'm just going, oh. I go, how are you guys? Your lights are really cool. Are they like, how do they work? And I was just going, like, starting to go onto the lights and stuff. And then what happened is they wanted ID. So I'm just going, oh, I don't know. And I go into my pockets really slowly, just like trying to like go like this, like trying to find pockets that I don't have. And then I pull out like this card that is, the thing is a bank card, and it had my name on it. And I go, oh, here's my ID. They go, that's your bank card. Where's your ID? Oh, no, it's my name. And they go, what's your date of birth? So I gave him just a wrong date of birth. So what happens is there's the good cop, bad cop, right? So the good cop has stayed with me. The bad cop's gone into the car, and I can hear him radioing the station. They go, oh, can you look up Tom Barnett of this address and this date of birth? And I can hear him at dispatch going, oh, we got nothing. We can't find him. And he's just going, look him up again. And so this other guy is going, oh, I need you to empty your pockets. Have you got any drugs? Because I might have sounded like I was on drugs. And I'm like, oh. And I just went silent. I'm like looking up at the street lamp, just like trying not to laugh. And then he goes, oh, take your shoes off. And I go, oh, my shoes? And I just like look at my shoes like I don't know how to take them off. And then I go, oh, hang on. And I sit down and I'll really slowly take my shoes off, like I'm kind of struggling. And then I look up at him, because I'm sitting on the ground and he's standing up, and I look up at him and I just go, oh, I don't have to take my pants off, do I? And he goes, no, mate, no. He just I made him really think that I thought I was going to get molested or something like that, like strip searched or something. He goes, no, mate, no, just put your shoes back on, right? Just put your shoes back on. So then I start, what do I start going? Then I start talking about, he goes, where's your helmet? Have you got a helmet? I say, well, this is my sister's bike, and my sister lives in Melbourne. I think she's got a helmet. And I go, she's a doctor. She's really smart, my sister. And I don't have a sister. And I was just making up this thing, and he kind of like didn't want to hear any more of it. And I was like, oh, this is disappointing, because I wanted to know more about this sister. Like, who is she and what is she doing? Like, I wanted to know where that story was going. So then what happens is the bad cop gets out of the car and he's like going, the good cop goes, oh, okay, well, you should go now. Just make sure you wear a helmet next time. And the other guy's going, oh, what about the fine? Let's give him a fine. And the guy, I saw him out of the corner of my eye, just going like, forget this guy. Like, forget it. Like, don't worry about it. We're not going to get anything out of this guy. And then I just was going, oh, thanks, guys. That was really nice of you to stop and show me your lights and have a talk to me and all that sort of stuff. And then I rode off, and I got like 20 meters away, and I just was pissing myself laughing. I couldn't hold the laughter anymore. Just because of, I've done that a couple of times and got off with, various things. I wouldn't do it while I'm driving a car, but it's got me off plenty of other things. Just go into a character that they don't want to deal with. And I kind of got the idea from that too. There's a movie called Getting Square. It's an Australian movie. It's based on where I used to live on the Gold Coast. And there's a court scene where this guy goes into a courtroom, and the judge is trying to read him out. He's like just a degenerate kind of guy. And the judge is reading him out. He sounds like, you're being fined for this, that. And the guy's going, what? I don't understand you, mate. Oh, I don't understand. And he's like really Australian. And the judge just goes, oh, just get out of here. Like he just gets into, instead of finding him with something, he just goes, get out of here. And then the guy goes, oh, can one of you give me some coins for the bus? They're just like, someone give him some money and get out. And that was based on they based that part of the movie on a real story. So that's stuff that actually happens in courtrooms. So the thing is if you're too hard to deal with, they're just going to go like, we're not going to get money or anything out of this guy. Because remember, they're only after a transaction. So if they don't think they're going to get it, they're just like, fuck that guy. Let's go and wait for another one that they can prey on,
Yeah.
So point of that story is that you can always you can be very creative. Or if you are creative, you can get out of so many things. I used to go into, even when I was in high school, I went to a really expensive private school, but we didn't really have money. I got a scholarship to go there. So we'd go to the shopping center afterwards with some of the other guys from school, and they'd all be paying like $10 at that stage. That was 1998. when you're a kid, that's like $10 is a lot of money, and they're buying these $10 lunches from the cafeteria thing. And I go up and I go, hey man, I've got $1.50. What can you do for that? And he just looks at me and he's like, he just like loads this plate way more than he was giving the other kids and gives me this plate, and everyone's yelling at me, oh, you can't do that. And I just go, well, I just did, motherfuckers. It's just little things like we think these things in society are rules. This costs this much, you have to pay that much. This person's saying you have to wear a mask, you have to wear a mask. But these are all rules can be bent. They're only guidelines. So the point is if you're a creative person and you engage with another human being in the right way, you might be surprised at what result you can get from any interaction, because the interactions are never foregone conclusions. You can very much manipulate the way that goes, because once again, you're not dealing with a book that shoots lasers at you. You're dealing with a man or a woman. So if you can connect with them in a certain way or whatever, you'd be surprised what they'll do for you or not try to do to you, like if they're a police officer or a customs official or whatever. Well worth thinking about.
Yeah, well worth thinking about. You just got to hope you don't get the complete confirmative action cocksucker who just wants to be there. But most people, he said, because I think that's a good idea as well, and that's something you could potentially do on the plane, right? You could play like dumb, a bit like what, but I think it's something that people, 100% that, especially in those situations with policemen. When you play that, you would become too much of a pain for them to deal with, and they'd just be like, it's too much ag. Maybe different in a plane actually, because in a plane there's nowhere else for them to go, so it's sort of they have to sort of deal with it. But I think that's really good, mate. Knowing that sort of stuff for people. Yeah, it's just coming at life from a different angle a lot of times, right? Rather than just being a good little slave and doing what they tell you to do, just coming at things from a different angle. And sometimes, you said before, like you're going to come across these challenges that you have to go through, and you need to be prepared to go into it and see what you can do. I might have to look into I'd be interested to see that with the mask as well, with the plane, just to see if it was. Well, no, to see if it was. If it's not a law yet, then even if what she said so she was saying it was a. What is it at the moment? It's you're voluntarily doing it. She said, they said, where's your mask? No, thank you. Have you got medical condition? Yes. What is it? It's as for me to know, whatever. So basically, it's not yet a law. It's not a law. It's what do they call it? It's a voluntary
compliance system.
So right.
It might be different. I don't want to make a blanket statement because in other parts of the world, but I know of several people in our country who've flown recently interstate, not flying out of the country, just flying between states in our country, and they all refused and they all had no problem. They all said, no, I don't want to do that. I've got a medical condition. I'm not wearing a mask. Thanks very much, but no thanks. And they all said, no problem. On you go. There was no issue, no nothing. That's from several people. So, I don't know what it's like in other countries. I don't know what it's like flying out internationally. That might be different. But, like if it was me, like I say, I always say you've got to pick your battles. Mm-hmm. So even if you know you're right, sometimes being right all 100%. Of the time is not necessarily going to get you where you want to go. So if you and I wanted to get to Portugal, and I'm like, you know what, if I just have to deal with some morons to get to Portugal, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to put up a brick wall and stop myself potentially from getting there. But what I would do is do it on my terms. And just so that I need to make my point, I would do something like, you're all slaves, masks do nothing, like there is no virus, you can't catch a virus, whatever. I'd put that all over the mask and all over stuff that I put on my face or on a T-shirt. I'd wear it on my T-shirt, and that way at least everybody on the plane sees and starts going like, what? Or they're going, yeah, fuck this is wrong. I don't see why we're doing this. And then I'm still being active or an activist, but I'm still going to get where I want to go. And then do good things when I get there, because let's say we got to there and then we collaborated and we do a lot of damage to the structures throughout the world, then it's worth putting a mask on just to get there so that we can do better things for the world. The little things like that. It's just picking your battles.
No, 100%, mate. I think it's I completely agree. And so mate, it's one of the things I just want to get out to people, just because I think people just, once again, people doing this just need to know their rights, need to understand they have the power, and that it doesn't all lie with these people, and they need to come at things from a different perspective. Looking forward to your new book coming out, mate. When do you reckon that'll be done by?
Still a couple of months away. It's been a bit slow going because of suing people and because of the doing interviews and stuff, which I'm actually really enjoying. I think it gives a chance because sometimes I don't really. It's like all this stuff I could put into a book. It's like, what do I put in a book? But then when you do an interview with somebody and they just draw out what they want to hear, and then that goes to their audience, and that's kind of like the work is done for me. I only have to answer what you want to talk about. So, and everyone's different. For you, I'll talk about these things. Somebody else is talking more about health. You know, the weird thing is that my expertise is in health because I did 15 years as a practitioner, and most people just want to hear me talk about the law, where I'm not actually an expert in. But that's what people want to talk about at the moment, more so than the health kind of stuff, which is that's fine. It's just whatever people want to hear about is what I'll speak about. But I do like to make it pretty clear that I'm having successes on my level, but I'm not at Mark's level, you know. So that's why I still recommend people. I'm always happy to talk about it and give recommendations, but I would still seek out people that have 20 years experience like Mark, who can go all the way with things.
100%. I mean, the fact that you're winning, though, I mean, it's just one of those things. But the reason is because it's sort of all interlinked anyway. It's like living the alternative life, alternative well. It's all interlinked. And that's why I brought up your book, because I am interested in that, especially with vaccinations. And the thing is, with these vaccinations that they're saying are coming out now, the RNA, it's very different to the other vaccinations which you could potentially detox from. They're saying these ones are going to be almost impossible to detox from because of what they're going to be doing. And so it's sort of like, I mean, in terms of detox, I mean, I don't know if I actually done a really good interview recently with a lady called Cilla Watcott. She does prophylactic homeopathy, which is whereas homeopathy looks at, you know, you may have a condition and they give you like a remedy to mitigate that condition. This is something that they give before, like, and so instead of vaccinations, like working on the same basis of vaccinations or how vaccinations are meant to work, you know, from like hormesis, giving you a little bit of the poison to make your body stronger. This comes from so basically they have like a pathogen microbe, whatever, the energetic frequency of that microbe, and they dilute it down to it's just basically nothing, and then they give it to, so they can do it for us, you could do it for whoever, little ones, and it's something they're getting into, which is, I think, be great. It's just at what point do they start saying that they start outlawing that? You know, this is my problem. It'd be great for us to all be, if we were all in power, Tom, we'd have such a lovely world, I think, or like a healthy world. But it's just these people, you know, anything that they can sort of take away in terms of health, everything is just low energy, fear, propaganda, nonsense that they love to push everyone into their limbic system, and so they're all scared all the time, running around. And then that's why my man Jason Christoph, he said, like, I'll be honest, Ryan, I'm getting a generator, I'm buying guns, and I'm getting lots of food, because if they do what they do to the world, they don't want to scare people. But he's like, but if there's no food, then people could start like robbing things, right? He said this is what they're planning for, so just for people to be out there and just to like get things, maybe have a few preemptive strikes, get powders or food on board that you can have, or move somewhere where you can grow your own food. This is one of the things I'm talking about for myself, that we can live online, but if I'm in a place where I can just jump in the sea and kill a fish, you know, and eat it and grow food outside, I think it would come. Do you grow food where you are?
Little. I've got citrus trees out there. Just got a horse. He'll eat anything else. So I've got an avocado tree that's fenced off, and then in the other area I've got some herbs and things. But I don't eat a lot of vegetation anyway. I eat more animal products than vegetation. And you know, it's funny because around here there's you know, the natives still you know, helpful, and they're still trying to live some of their old ways, or at least they have all their old stories. And the stories is that if you sent one of the young men off into the bushes at Brunswick and things for a few months, he'd come out fatter than when he went in, because there's so much food in there. When you know where the food is, you don't grow it. You know, nature grows food everywhere. So between fish and insects, worms, what are those things? Oysters and everything. Some of the sea vegetables that just grow everywhere naturally. You know, when you know what's what, you'll get fat. I'm not worried about food shortages at all, because a lot of the foods that are the most beneficial for humans are just right out in the garden. So you just need to know what to look for. And so it's kind of that.
Eat
It's
a
like
chicken.
yeah.
Eat a
Well, I mean,
chicken so
you
you can make
could.
some
Yeah. I
eggs.
mean, see the way I think that the a natural diet of man in the wild is going to consist mostly of small amounts of vegetation, uh, and then things like worms, insects. They're like perfect foods. They're so high in bioavailable protein and nutrients. And then you collect eggs and things like that. And then once a week you do a bigger kill like a chicken and you eat the whole thing. So you're getting all the organs, all the everything, and then that's such a huge influx of nutrients that keeps you going
Yeah.
that sustains you while you're living off the smaller stuff like grubs and all that kind of thing. Like in Australia, the natives always lived off witchetty grubs, which are these things like they grow about that big, white things that are a bit
Yeah, well,
gross
that's
looking.
just, it's hard to like think about eating those things when you haven't been used to it. That's the thing. When you've grown up eating those things, I mean,
Yeah,
we eat them raw. Oh, it's a bit
yeah.
much, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. That's only a construct of the mind because compared to eating, like this is how far we are removed from that because then we got into mixing foods, then processing foods, and now people have like they want a donut that's got bacon on it and then a bit of chicken and then a bit of chili on it. You can choose all these things that just never would have gone together in nature, and that's not food. So then people will go from that, and then they just go, I couldn't eat a worm. Like that's gross. But that's because they're just so far removed from what is nature and what is natural.
I reckon I could
And
go ahead. So I was going to say, I reckon I could eat a worm. I don't think I could eat it raw. But yeah,
yeah, well, I don't know how you go. Well, this is the other thing. Everybody thinks that cavemen always cooked all their foods, but if you've ever been have you ever lived like out of a house for an extended period of time?
I've done like 5 6 days in the field when I was younger. Yeah,
It's not easy. Like I've done months at a time out. It's not easy. You can't have a fire every day. You can't. It just doesn't exist. The weather stops that. The amount of available firewood stops that. The ability to light the fire stops that. We weren't having fires all the time, so we're actually very highly adapted to eating most things raw, and it's just a more natural way to do things. And so the idea that you would cook, for example, a worm like an earthworm's about maybe this long, and like they're not. I just don't know how you go cooking that. I think you'd end up with nothing. Whereas you could actually just get it, like dangle it into your mouth and pretty much just swallow it, and it just wiggle its way down, and then
I can see people listening to this go, "What the hell?" Yeah, I know. That is in.
but that's what
I'd rather
you
eat
do.
fruit off a tree. Yeah, I'd rather eat the berries or an orange off a tree, or cut. It's the thing. Like there's other things, but I don't think we'd have to get to that level. I don't.
No,
I
well,
don't think.
not in our world anymore. But
No.
the other thing is most of those fruits are hybridized. They didn't grow in nature. Most of the fruits and the vegetables we eat are hybridized. They're not natural.
Yeah.
Berries are about the only fruit that used to grow naturally in the wild. So strawberries, like raspberries, blueberries, things, they're wild, natural fruits, mulberries. But the rest are all hybridized. So yeah, the world we live in is very different now, and it's not necessarily going to get to that stage. There's plenty, especially around where I live, like it would be impossible to starve because the people that run all the orchards and that, if the business goes out, they're just like, well, here's the orchard, come in and help yourself. You'd be fat from oranges and stuff. There's so many. And eggs, there's plenty of eggs to go around. There's plenty of fish in our seas and stuff. It's just it'd be impossible to starve around here. It's a different story in a city or somewhere like Las Vegas that has no water or food in there. It all comes in from out of there. That's a dangerous place to be. So people go to these places because they think, oh, I'll live it up, I'll make more money, I'll do whatever, but they're living against the grain of nature. Whereas places like here where we live, you can walk. You don't even need a car. You could walk 10 kilometers in any direction and get fish, meat, eggs, dairy, vegetables, fruits, nuts as well. There's nut macadamia farms and stuff around here too. So you basically get everything that you already eat if you're eating a healthy diet. And it's all within 10 kilometers of walking distance. And that's very natural. Africans still walk 10 kilometers a day to get all their stuff. And yeah, you know what I mean? It's like,
No, mate, 100. And that's what I'm saying to you. Like when I talk about moving, like I mean, I'm out in suburbs anyway, so I've got farms and stuff around for me, and I know a butcher, I know lots of stuff going on. But that's why I said to you, for me, like getting somewhere living by the sea and waking up every morning and seeing the sea, and just like worst comes to worst, being able to jump in the water and kill a fish, or like grow your food in your garden or whatever it is. You know, you live in those where you could live off fish, you could live. I mean, or whatever it is, chicken in the garden. That's fine. Not even that, but just the fact that that's even healthy and just being in that sort of place where everyone could be together. So, no, mate, I definitely think it's something.
Well, do you know what? If I had a choice, if I could get stranded, I'd love to be stranded somewhere like super tropical, because if I could eat like seafood and coconuts and papaya, which just grows rampantly in those areas, I'd love that. That's like a perfect diet for me. That's so good.
Yeah, papaya is I think one of my favourite fruits. Papaya, seafood. You know what? It's just certain parts of the sea, because of what's going on. Some of the seafood that we get, I just don't trust a lot of it. But in terms of heavy metals, tropical islands. I mean, that's why that Maoris and Pacific Islanders, they lived off very high saturated fat diets, shellfish, lots of animal fats, etc. And it's only when they started to eat the westernized diet that they started to get all ill. You said before, you know the book Western Price's Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. It's one of the best books ever. So that's why I don't know how any vegan can read that book and still think that veganism is the way. Depending on whereabouts, obviously you live. And the only, as he said in that book, it was the only tribes that didn't eat meat were the ones where it wasn't readily available. I think there's even tribes in Australia, some are on the coast and some are in the middle, and it's the ones where the meat isn't readily available. They eat like 25% meat compared to the ones that it is readily available. They eat 75% meat and animal products, just because it's more readily available, which is a massive thing. And it's even like some of the shakes you've made in here. Your base for your shakes, not giving too much away, but your base for your shakes in here, or like the things where I think it's 2 tablespoons of raw cream, 2 eggs. Was it raw milk? I was trying to think what it was.
The base is usually eggs, cream, and a bit of raw honey, and that's the base. Yeah. With that, you can add anything. Like you could add, milk. You can add some fruits. You could add, well, not too many different fruits, but there's heaps of things you can put into that. My favorite one is actually what's called. I didn't put it in because it's not my recipe. It's the guy, Ogenus Vonderplanitz. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
So he has one that he calls a lubrication formula or a moisturizing formula, which is 2 or 3 tablespoons of butter instead of cream. And you melt that down by putting it in a glass with hot water around it so it liquefies, and then you put that in with a teaspoon or 2 of fresh squeezed lemon juice, a teaspoon of raw honey, a couple of eggs, and blend that up. So what it does is it gives very concentrated, high quality fats and carries it straight to the deeper cells that don't usually get moisturized. Because remember, water doesn't moisturize things. Water doesn't lubricate. Fats lubricate. So it's a way to get high quality fats to a lot of the parts of the body that are actually fat deprived, which is why people get a lot of dryness and lesions and things in the body. It's because of that deficiency in fats. So
yeah, it's interesting because I've actually got some butter oil from Green Pastures, and I've been putting that in my morning tea actually, along with some royal jelly. I might do that actually. So it was 2 tablespoons of butter, heated, lemon. What was it? Raw cream? No, not raw cream.
It's basically the same as that.
2 eggs. 2 eggs.
It's the
so
same
you swap
thing.
The cream for the butter.
Yeah, you just swap out cream for butter. That's the same cream base that I put in the recipe book, and then just exchange it for butter. So the only difference between
it's like a little shot.
No, it fills up. I just had one. Where's mine? It fills up one of these, and it fills it up to there. So it's not a shot. It's like quite a lot of. I put like 3 or 4 tablespoons of butter in. It's quite a lot, and then I put 3 eggs in. And I do a half a lemon. So however many teaspoons are in half a lemon, I do that. So it fills up a decent. That's a meal. That's pretty good.
Yeah, no. That's interesting. I might start doing that a bit later in the day actually, because I don't like to eat too late at night. So it's quite a good one. Or in the morning, I always have lemon and water in the morning. That's interesting. So the butter, the cream for the butter, yeah, because there's actually just found a site on here where getting raw milk is pretty. Well, it's not easy, but if you know where you're looking, it's pretty easy. But getting raw butter over here can be a bit more of a task, or like goat kefir, etc. So yeah, that's an interesting. I would try that, mate. I'd definitely try that. It sounds delicious, actually.
It is. It's really nice. The first time I gave that to my girlfriend, she's like, "Holy shit, that's amazing!"
Of course,
loved it straight away.
It just tastes. I mean, anything with raw honey is just fantastic as well. Like it's a medicine, right? It's like, and I think it helps in every enzymatic process in your body. I think it gets straight away. It's just like people don't understand. It's honey. They think, oh, it's going to spike my blood sugar. It's like, no, it's actually food, and your body can use it compared to like other sweet things. And the eggs, 100% lemon, butter. Yeah, it sounds delicious. In fact, I might make one later on today. It's on me Saturday.
Well, so many people. They go, "Are you drinking butter?" Oh, they go, "What are you drinking? Eggs and butter? That sounds so gross." That's what a lot of people say when they see me drinking. They go, "What's in that?" I go, "Butter." And they're like, "Ugh." And I just go, "Well, you should taste it. I'm not giving you any, but because I want it all, but you should taste that. It's amazing. It tastes really good, and it feels really good too. It's one of those things that feels satisfying, but never sits heavy in the gut because it's all raw. It's all high in enzymes, and it all it's digesting itself pretty much. And it digests quickly and efficiently. It energizes you very quickly and sustains that. It's like a perfect food that. So definitely recommend it.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, but people say eggs and butter. You're eating that. It's like, well, that's in every cake, mate. Like, so or like whatever they're doing. Yeah, exactly. So I don't understand people who say that. You're like, oh, it's raw. It's dangerous. Who told you that? The government?
Yeah.
They got your best interests at heart. Cool, man. Anyway, I know it's getting late there, so I'll leave it there for today. Anything else? But people out there, barnettbooks.shop. There's 2 books going out. Anything else? But you're looking also to take on clients as well at the moment, if you want any health issues.
Yeah, I'm actually opening up for clients as well because I had kind of got out of that because I just wanted to do something more creative, which was getting into film and photography. But since the whole coronavirus thing and putting out those videos, I've realized how many people need help with basic health stuff, basic law stuff, and also how to navigate that process of like waking up. People start this has woken people up and they've never been awake before. And it's like, holy shit, I didn't realize all this stuff was going on in the world. Like, how do I navigate this? What do I do? What do I, how do I live now? So just little things like that. So I've, because I never used to do anything over Skype. I used to only like doing it over in person. So I only treated people in the local area, or they'd come in from over the border or whatever. But, I'm pretty much just changing that now to doing a lot of, online consults like this because it's what people need at the moment. It's kind of, while the need's there, I'll do it because I feel like I've got to be of service rather than just going and taking photos of models and whatever, even though that's fun. It's like that's not really being of service to people. So if this is what people need at the moment, then that's what I'm going to do.
100%, mate. Yeah, exactly. You're almost like taking pictures of models. It's almost like that's as nice as that is. I think we need you in this battle, Tom. So exactly, we need. It's almost like having one of the top fucking warriors going off and just fucking, I don't know, going to Vegas where we're all battling. You're like, what you doing, mate? We need you over here. So get you involved. So that's awesome. Cool. And that's is where can people find you? Basically on Facebook, or if you've got another website as well as
so they can still get me at info@globalbiodynamics.com. I'll shoot that through to you if you want. info@globalbiodynamics.com. And if they want the book, I'll put a discount code on it. It's health, HEALTH in capital letters. That'll get you 50% off. So it's like, I think it's $6 Australian. So it's kind of like, if you're in the UK, it's kind of like a couple of eggs.
Why are you doing that for? No. It's free. Sorry, people listening, if you think I'm in the wrong here, but like, I think your book's worth $6 Australian, mate. It's like, cool, blimey. Especially my listeners over here, Australian dollars. I mean, we used to sing the older Barmy used to sing, we get $3 to the pound. We don't get that anymore, but it's still like, for us, $6 Australian is, I don't know, £3. Okay, you can put the capital health in capital letters if you want for my audience, but I think you're doing yourself a disservice there, my man. I don't know what it's called. I think Jeff Bowick mentioned it. It's like I'm a anarchic capitalist. Like I want a free market, but I feel that people should get paid for their services because you provide a good service, and it's, and it is what it is. But anyway,
people that have been buying the book, when I put that viral code on, when I did that the video before my website got shut down and stuff, a lot of people used the code and a lot of people didn't. They'd said, no, I want to pay full price because I've got a lot out of your videos and things like that. So they didn't put the discount code in. So it's just because there are people that need a discount, especially at the moment. So those that do can have it, and those that don't need to. It's kind of up to the individual.
Fair enough, man. Cool. Tom, as always, absolute pleasure speaking to you, mate. And we're looking forward to getting you back on the show sometime soon.
Yeah, definitely. Love to.
So, guys and girls, that was episode 159 with Tom Barnett, and I'm sure you're going to have to listen to that one again. There's so much information there around what you can do in legal terms. I mean, suing PayPal doesn't get any bigger than that, and also going after policemen that have acted unlawfully, and just lots of information there regarding standing your ground and knowing your rights, which are very, very different to your benefits and privileges, which we'll be getting into. So, I'll definitely be having Tom back on the show. It was a great chat with him. It always is. And he'll be going into other things. If you haven't already, head over to his Facebook page. He's got some really good lives over there as well, talking about a few things, especially when it comes to the common law stuff, when it comes to making letters, etc., and sending them out. He's got some really good information there, which is fantastic. So, yeah, you can actually find Tommy's, because he said he's changed his website at the moment because of what's been going on with PayPal. So you can find him at www.barnettbooks.shop if you want to find any information from him there. And also heading over to him on Tom Barnett on Facebook and at Global Biodynamics on Instagram. So that was episode 159, guys and girls. As always, if you are dealing with a health issue and you're looking for some advice on what to do, how you can help yourself, I've also got my book, the Chronic Fatigue Solution, which goes into how to heal yourself from any chronic illness, especially like any chronic illness, chronic fatigue, because everyone's always tired, but it goes into the basics for everyone. You can find that at www.thechronicfatiguesolution.com, and you've got both audio and digital options there, which will be which will give you a lot of great information. And if you want some one-to-one help, then please don't hesitate to email me at ryan@reviveyourself.co. That's ryan@reviveyourself.co, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Or, you can send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. As I said before, I'm Ryan Martin on Facebook and at Revive Yourself, as well as Ryan Martin and Revive Yourself on Instagram. Revive_yourself, and it's Ryan __ Martin _ on Instagram. But yeah, putting lots of information out, guys and girls, lots of high quality stuff. As I said before, if you're looking for quality supplements, then heading over to the shop at www.reviveyourself.co. If you do that, then you're going to be exposed to a plethora of goodness. But yeah, just one more time, if you are dealing with a health issue and you're looking to overcome it, you've had no relief from doctors, pills, steroids, injections, surgery, then yeah, send me an email at ryan@reviveyourself.co, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. That's it for this week, guys and girls. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, keep doing the things that promote health, and we'll be making the world a better place, one person and one day at a time. Lots of love. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
If you're struggling with gut issues, such as gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, indigestion, heartburn, and want to finally be able to eat the foods you love without the crippling after effects, then don't forget to head over to reviveyourself.co and pick up your free copy of The Healing Health Paradigm today.